All right, everybody, let's take a look at how to do the writing portion of the nonfiction part of the final exam. We read an article about nuclear energy and how it produces a lot of waste, but that we don't have anywhere to put the waste, right? This was an informative article, and the author, she didn't take a position one side or the other. She didn't say we should do this or this is good or anything like that. She just presented the information. So it's an informative piece. It's not a persuasive, okay? Let's start with that. It says up here that the author was objectively reviewing the use of, and again, that's because she wasn't using bias. She wasn't saying this is or this is or this is, right? She wasn't taking a position. So she's being very objective about it, right? She does present the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power, as well as a brief explanation of how it works. So the question for you today is this. Based on your reading of this article and your understanding of the topic, do you feel that the consequences of using nuclear energy outweigh the benefits? In other words, we know that it produces a lot of waste, and we know that we don't have anywhere to put it. And we talked about some of the dangers of it, right? Do you think we should still be using it? Now, it's okay to say yes, and it's okay to say no. It doesn't matter which side you take, all right? That's not the issue here. The issue is that you're going to take a position and you're going to defend it. Now, you can use anything in the article, all right, but a good place to start might be on the second page or page 2, or it's at chart number 1. And that was the pros and cons. Remember where she described the pros and cons of nuclear energy? That might be a good place for you to start because it kind of aligns with this question. Now, here's this pre-writing chart. This is to help you get organized and get your ideas put together. This is not part of the writing grade. This is not part of the final grade. This is just for you, okay? But this is here to help you kind of put your thoughts together and to get the pieces of your TPAC before you write your TPAC. So the first thing is, what is the central idea that Kowalski presents? And remember, we talked about that. We identified what the central idea was. And then, do you agree or disagree? And that, again, do you think we should be using nuclear power or do you not? And that one could be a yes or no, okay? Although when you write the TPAC, you're probably going to put I disagree with, or I don't think that we should, right? Or I believe that we could continue using nuclear power for electricity. You can put just yes or no here on the chart, but when you write it, you're going to have like a full sentence. So what was the strongest or weakest part of the claim? So when you go out there and you're looking in that article, what's the best piece of information to really back up? If you say, yes, we should be using it, what is the part that you believe is the best reason for that? Or likewise, if you say no, then give us the best reason you could find for not using it. Now, the one thing to be cautious of here is that, yes, you are using your understanding of the topic, but you have to use a reason from the text, okay? You can't use an example that you've generated or you think about or whatever. It has to come from this text. And then an explanation, why do you think that was the best piece of information to use, right? So I really think that this is good because whatever, right? And you explain that. Now, the question then is just repeated here, okay? I just repeated the question so you see it again, and you type your answer right there where it's type your answer here, okay? Now, one thing to think about here, notice that these are labeled with white words, answer, evidence, analysis, question. Those align with that TPAC, right? So for instance, remember the topic sentence has part of the question and the answer. Those are two things that you identified in that pre-writing, right? Evidence, that's the strongest claim. So according to the article, blank, and you pull that in, okay? Down here where it says where it says paraphrase, what does that mean to you, okay? Why is this isn't the explanation of why it's important, but this is like, what do you think that means? If it says, 20% of all electricity in the United States is generated by nuclear power. This isn't, to me, this means that we're really reliant on it, or we really use it, or we believe it's valuable already. Analysis, that's that explanation, right? Why is that the best piece of information? Okay. And then the conclusion down here is where you kind of put your last final takes on it. Avoid something like, this is why I believe it. Okay. This is where you kind of make your closing arguments. There are a lot of other reasons for why I believe nuclear power should be used, but this is just one of them, or something along those lines, right? Where it helps you kind of wrap things up. Down here, below that, we have those sentence starters. Again, if you're looking for how to start the paraphrase, here's some examples in other words. This is to say, to sum up. So this chart down here gives you some sentence starters to start with. Okay. So when you look at this, when you're putting this TPAC together, remember what we are trying to do is we're taking a very clear stand. Don't say, I believe it should be, but maybe not. There's no qualifiers, there's no extra whatever, right? It's just yes or no, one reason why you believe it's true, and an explanation of that. And that'll make a really solid TPAC for you. Good luck on this.